In this tutorial, you will learn how to create ServiceNow OAuth2 credentials, allowing users to connect their ServiceNow accounts through the chat and use the ServiceNow tools via an agent. Before creating credentials on the platform, ensure you have set up an OAuth application in ServiceNow. To begin, log into the admin view of your ServiceNow instance. Next, click on All at the top of the page to open the filters. Search for Application Registry and click on Application Registry under System OAuth. Click New on the top right of the page to create a new application. Next, click on the Create an OAuth API endpoint for external clients option. Now you will need to configure the OAuth application. Give a name to the application. Note that this name will be displayed to users on the consent screen. The client ID of the application is automatically created. You can either create your own client secret or leave the field blank to have one generated automatically. Next, click the lock button to edit the redirect URL of the application. Here, add the following URL. If you want to disable the consent screen for users when they authenticate, you must enable the public client option. Next, you will need to specify an auth scope by clicking Insert a new row and choosing the user account scope. Don't forget to save the scope by clicking the Save button. You can enable the Disable Consent Screen option to hide the consent screen when users authenticate. Note that the Public Client option must also be enabled for this feature to work. Finally, click on Submit to finalize the creation. You can find the newly created application in the list. Now copy the client ID of the application and keep it for later. Click on the application to access its configuration. Click on the lock icon to show the client secret, and copy it for later use. Once you have the ServiceNow OAuth application with its client ID and client secret, you can create the credentials on the Agentic platform. In build mode, go to Credentials. Click on Add Credentials to start creating new credentials. Click on ServiceNow OAuth2. Give a name to the credentials. Next, select who can edit the credentials. Here, we will allow other builders to edit them. Next, provide the URL of your ServiceNow instance in the following format. Next, provide the client ID of the OAuth application created in ServiceNow and the corresponding client secret. If you configured your ServiceNow OAuth application to hide the consent screen, you will need to enable the Skip Consent Screen option. Finally, click on Add Credentials to finalize the creation. The credentials should now be available with the success status in the list of credentials. Users can now connect to their ServiceNow account by clicking a link provided in the chat when they use a ServiceNow tool through an agent. Let's test this by interacting with our ServiceNow Service Catalog Clerk agent, who has access to the ServiceNow Catalog Item Details and ServiceNow Catalog Item Order tools. As you can see, I receive a message asking me to authenticate with my ServiceNow account before I can continue. To do so, let's click on the provided link. After you authenticate with your ServiceNow account, you will get a success screen. You can now go back to the chat and resume the conversation with the agent.